All right, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is, so this is the beginning of the end for Justin Trudeau. All right, let's check it out. Let's jump into it, guys.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not dancing. His spat with President-elect Donald Trump is now causing some political problems for his own
Over the tariffs.
country, the entire country. Trump threatened Canada with tariffs if they did not do something to stop the flow of illegal immigrants from the northern border.
Mainly South Asians, and then he flew to Florida.
Trudeau then flew to Mar-a-Lago. You remember that was a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
He sat at the dinner table with Trump. And during that conversation, Trump reportedly told Trudeau that if Canada's economy cannot survive without ripping off the United States, maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau should be governor. Trump later doubled down on the
Hey, listen, I'm down for the same thing happening to the United Kingdom, by the way.
nicknamed Governor Trudeau in a social media post.
Get rid of the royal family.
In an attempt to punch back, Justin Trudeau instead insulted American voters, implying that we are sexist.
We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president.
There's something about this man's energy that I just can't stand. All right, now keep this in mind, I'm not Canadian. All right, maybe there's something that I'm missing here. But it seems like every single time he speaks, he sounds like a Gavin Newsom clone from California, guys. And I'm not really super partial to California, all right? It seems like the entirety of Canada, basically, is California.
Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly.
What does this have to do with
I
anything?
am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
Okay, Jesus Christ. Listen to that slow clap.
Of course, you may have to find him at his house because he may not be the prime minister for very long, but let's watch and see. Now, Trump's America First policies are putting Trudeau's role as prime minister in jeopardy. Trudeau's finance minister resigned over differences over how to confront Donald Trump, and now Trudeau is reportedly weighing a resignation for himself. You looked at the monitor and you said...
Well, the quote of Trudeau essentially calling Americans feminists for voting for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris is like...
No, sexist. He did not call us feminists. He called himself that for some reason.
Like, file that under grasping at straws for a male politician who is asking for people to vote for him. To say that is irony at its best. According to a CNN article on this very subject, more Canadians view Donald Trump favorably than they do Justin Trudeau. And I really do think that COVID was the beginning of the end for him. That country was locked down for literally years. If you thought California had it bad, Canada was California on steroids. You remember the Freedom Caucus? There was recently a social...
The trucks.
Yep.
The trucks were everything. That's where everything changed.
And if you think about what the Freedom Convoy was about, the trucker protest, it was because there was a policy where they had to get vaccinated, even though they're truckers in their own bed of their truck. If there is any more solo work effort than being a trucker, there is nothing other than that. So there's also a video that recently went viral where there was a steel worker saying, "You are doing nothing for this country right now." So he has a lot of political issues to contend with, and I don't think that Donald Trump calling him that he could be the governor of the 51st state could be his undoing, but it certainly does not help his cause.
No, Emily.
Yeah, you guys, Justin Trudeau to me is sort of like, I was trying to think of how to explain it. Like, he's like the facsimile of Gavin Newsom, sort of like like an even lesser effective. And what I mean by that is that, you know, he's...
Yeah, exactly. Like every single time I hear him speak, like the ideologies that he consistently pushes, he's just a clone. Like he's nothing more than just that. And we already don't like him, Gavin Newsom, okay? Like, you do understand that if they would have put Gavin Newsom up there instead of Kamala Harris, it would have been an even crazy. We would have ratioed Gavin Newsom, basically, All right, just so you know.
He's come in, he's not his father, first of all. So he assumed the position, though, likely on the heels of his father's legacy there. And then he puts himself out there as being this totally radically progressive and for
male
the
feminist
people prime minister.
All he had to say was he was a male feminist, and we pretty much understood exactly who and what he was.
And we know that he's worn brownface multiple times. We know that he continues subjugating Indigenous peoples there in Canada, even though he claims to
Do not act like you care about that.
pretend to be on everyone's side that he virtue signals for, but his policies are the exact opposite. So no wonder everyone in Canada feels deep disdain for him and also deep frustration at the fact that this guy is still calling the shots. Of course, they want President Trump and prefer and respect him more because it's the policies that speak for themselves. So he can go ahead and try to shame us and try to call us names, but the reality is that his reign of power there is massively fragile. And when you pull back the cloak of what indeed he has accomplished in Canada, it is nothing that has brought Canadians any form of progression whatsoever. I hold no respect for that.
Yeah, during those lockdowns during COVID, we were still learning, how dangerous that was going to be and how every time you left your house and you got exposed and took it back and you were locked in, everybody in the household got COVID. We learned so much, right? But I wondered politically if that also didn't work for him because his citizens, I'm certain, would like to have been someplace else.
Yeah.
And so he basically locked them in.
He's a socialist. And I think when he started to lose the country was really over the truckers who were staying in their cab saying, if I don't get out of my cab, if I'm...
Nah, bro, I think it goes way deeper than that. There was a case that came out of Canada of a teacher who, I guess, I don't know how this works, guys, decided one day that they were going to be something different. And then they decided to start, putting gigantic fake, you get what I'm saying, chesticles, let's say, underneath their shirt. And going to school with it, and you couldn't say anything about it. And a lot of students were like, that's a little crazy. I think it's came to our attention when that became a gigantic story coming from Canada. I think, that was probably the moment we started looking at it bro, what is going on here? You're allowing this craziness, guys? You're allowing it in school. In school.
I'm just driving across the border and they unload everything from the back of I drop my trailer. I don't even get out of the cab. The workers do all that. Can I not have to be vaccinated? And he said, no, that's what dictators and tyrants do. They don't look at logic. They say, this is what you're going to do. You notice they just banned a bunch of guns the other day in Canada. I think that is a perfect example of why he thinks he's leaving.
Yeah.
Because when you start doing these things at the very end, he's lost the people. You've got major problems there with taxes. You have major problems there with taxing
real estate.
people that make money. And you've got problems now with oil and gas issues with him. I think he's gone.
That's the whole economy. Well, Emily mentioned Gavin Newsom. Maybe he'll go to California.
They'll accept
It's
it.
a sanctuary
They can be
state.
bros.
He likes being locked down.
And it's not just the Minister of Finance that has resigned, it's also the Deputy Prime Minister as well. Look, Trudeau started with something like a 63% approval rating. Now it's below 30%.
Can we just go back to who said it's lower than Trump? Let's just have a moment and enjoy that for a second.
But I just want to point out, it's not just COVID and the rise of tyranny that is causing and creating this populism across the world and here in the United States as well. It's also mass immigration and the loss of sovereignty and nations wanting to put their country first, which America first here in the United States. And what Donald Trump understands is a lot of Republicans like George W. Bush previously wanted to export democracy through nation building and things like that.
Right.
And projecting these false values that we claim to have as America, but we don't have them.
Well played. Who is that person speaking? Listen to this person, I would say. But let's continue. Yeah, absolutely. We claim to be a lot of things. I wish we were exactly what we think we were.
And things like that. And projecting these false values that we claim to have as America, but we don't have them when Joe Biden's trying to jail a political opponent or kick Donald Trump off the ballot. But what Donald Trump understands is the way you spread democracy and the way you spread populism is fixing your own country first, right? If you haven't cut your grass in over a month and your shutters are falling off, you can't tell your neighbor to get their house in order, right? You've got to clean up yours first. And so I think with Donald Trump and fixing our nation over the next 4 years, we'll see an increase in
that wasn't a good analogy.
Populism and democracy and freedom throughout the rest of the world as well.
Hey, everyone.
I mean, yeah, listen. The smartest thing, in fact, is to work on the United States of America. With us being the richest country in the history of the world, okay, it's really weird when we have failing infrastructure. Okay, it's really strange that we have people that are homeless. It's really strange that we don't have any type of like health care for the citizens. It's really strange that people need to basically go across the border to get insulin. Right? It's really weird how we perceive ourselves versus what we actually are. Okay, it's the weirdest thing in the world. I'd say this. And this is coming from someone who, I've lived in multiple countries, within the last couple of decades here, South Korea, and my main homestay, or currently, is Spain. So I'm between Spain and the United States of America. And I remember when the 19 happened, I was definitely in Spain when it happened. Okay, locked down completely, like martial law, one person out of your house, period. Okay, that's it. And that one person could go straight to the grocery store, okay, and come back immediately. One person in a car at maximum. The only way you can get out and do anything is when this was all over. I remember it vividly. I remember multiple people on my street lost their lives due to a mysterious illness, let's say. And they were all like super, super elderly because, Spain, everyone lives super long because they don't have all the poisons in their food like we do in the United States of America. They tend to live a lot longer in a lot of these countries. They have less stress. They make a lot less money, but for some reason have a better quality of life, right? They have a different mentality. But I remember that vividly. It was a crazy, 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 crazy thing, guys. But now, I've never actually been like a super fan of Trudeau. Based off of what I've heard about him, the interviews I've seen about him, the things that he basically speaks about, it's just like, bro, you sound like Gavin Newsom. Like exactly the things that I don't like about California and their leadership specifically, or even Oregon or Washington State, like the entire West Coast. Okay, now don't get me wrong, it could just be an inherent bias because I'm from New York. Okay, and I've spent the majority of my existence in the United States of America on the East Coast. It could just be like an East Coast, West Coast just thing potentially, right? But I just couldn't imagine because all the things that I absolutely love doing, I basically can't do there, right? Gigantic lifted vehicles is what I drive. Okay, 6-inch lifts, gigantic 40-inch tires, and things like that. I enjoy things like this. I either I conceal or I open carry firearms, guys, depending on how I feel, right? These are things that I'm not sure that I can do. Let's say I'm not able to kind of utilize my freedom. Let's say in the same manner as I could, specifically in the South, right? But all right, listen, guys. I'm not a fan of Trudeau. I'm sure some Canadians will probably comment in the comments and be like, "That bro is weird." I'm sure. I smell it. But either way, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day. Sis. I don't know how that goes. But listen, I'm going to catch you guys later. You guys have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. This is my lightsaber. Hey guys, you guys subscribe to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Oh, also, Mr. L. Boyd Discusses. Guys, check it out. And if you haven't heard it today, you're amazing.